as you're logging in, I hope you're checking the to-do list. To be here in Teams, you should have first checked your It's Learning to get the Padlet link. So make sure you are placing your answers on the Padlet, and we're going to check. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes, and we're going to check the Padlet and see how everybody's doing, all right? As you guys are coming in, make sure that you are following the appropriate performance expectations for being online. All right, guys, I'm going to give you about 1 more minute to finish putting in your answers into Padlet, and we're going to go over there and see what everybody's placing as their answers. All right, so let's take a look at the Padlet. Oh, look at all those wonderful different breeds. So what I'd like everybody to do is, as you are taking a look at your classmates' animals, we are going to vote on the type of animal that we would like to be using in today's demonstration. So if you would, let's place a thumbs up on the breed as a class that we would like to work with today. Fantastic, guys. Do me a favor and put your thumbs up or thumbs down on a breed of dog that you would like to work with today. And we are going to, got lots of votes, lots of votes. Christy, your puppy is adorable. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. All right, so I am seeing, can everybody give me a thumbs up in the chat if you are seeing that we are going to be working with labs. We are going to be working with labs today. Everybody give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see. All right, guys, you are doing an amazing job today. And we have decided, look at all those chats, awesome. We are deciding we're going to be using labs as our breed for our class activity today. So our objective for today is Punnett squares. So believe it or not, Punnett squares are super awesome. So they're a puzzle that we get to use all the work that we've been doing the last couple of weeks and kind of culminating understanding how genotypes and phenotypes work together to show specific characteristics. So we're going to be using Punnett squares to model how genes are passed from parents to offspring, how specific genotypes show specific phenotypes. So hopefully you are as excited as I am to take what we've been working through and take it a little step further. So real quick, let's just recap just to make sure we're good. So remember when we're talking about a genotype. When we're talking about genotypes from our previous conversations, we are looking at the specific alleles, okay? So we're looking at the genes. Phenotype, we are looking at the characteristics. So we're looking at the physical traits, what you can actually see. So when we look at the genotype, we are looking at our, homozygous dominant, our heterozygous, and our homozygous recessive. Now, when we're looking at our phenotype, we are looking at the color. So we can look at color, we can look at shape, we can look at sizes. Here you can see we are looking at purple. Can anybody tell me what the other phenotype is? Just write it in the chat. What other phenotype are we looking at in this diagram? We've got purple. What other phenotype are we looking at? Go ahead and type the color. Awesome. Great job, Kate. Christy, good. Wait for a couple more responses. What other phenotype? Awesome. Sarah, fantastic. Dawn. All right. So white is the other phenotype that we are looking at. So I clicked ahead, and as you can see, our dominant phenotype would be purple, meaning our recessive would be the white. So when, oh, there we go. So our recessive would be the white. Now, remember from our previous conversations, our dominant allele is what we are looking at that will tell us what specific phenotype. So if a dominant is present, then it is going to express the dominant trait. As you can see here, we have a dominant and a dominant. So we've got two dominant alleles, homozygous dominant. We've got one dominant and one recessive allele, which is heterozygous, but that dominant is still there, meaning that dominant trait will express. Here we have that homozygous recessive. So two recessive alleles, meaning it's awesome. That means the recessive allele gets to shine through and say, hey, look at me, I'm here. And in this case, our recessive allele is white. All right, so we've got genotype, phenotype, dominant, recessive. Everybody feeling good? Thumbs up if we're good. Animated emojis are fabulous if you want to throw that in there. Awesome, I love it. All right, so we are going to be taking a look at our adorable Labrador retrievers today. So we have mom and dad here. What do you think? Do me a favor and type what color you think their offspring are going to be. I'm curious to see what you think. Type in the chat box if you would. What color do you think their offspring are going to be, okay? We've got a mixture. Some dark brown, black, dark brown, okay? Give you another couple seconds to place your answers in there. Fantastic. Awesome job, guys. All right, so let's take a look at how we will figure out what their kids will look like. All right, so we've got to have some information before we can begin creating a model, before we can be creating a Punnett square. So mom is homozygous recessive. So going back from what we've been learning, that means she has the recessive allele. She has two recessive alleles, which is awesome. Dad has one dominant and one recessive allele. Fabulous. Heterozygous, hybrid. So dad is heterozygous, mom is homozygous recessive, which means we have all the information we need to complete a Punnett square. Now, let's see how you guys are doing. We've got two pieces of information here. Which one do you think mom's genotype is? Write mom's genotype in the chat for me real quick. What is mom's genotype? Oh, good. Those were quick answers. You guys are on it. Fantastic. All right, what about dad's phenotype? What's dad's phenotype? Place that in the chat for me real quick. You guys got this. All right, so before we begin with the Punnett squares, everybody have their notes open from It's Learning. Go ahead and make sure you've got your It's Learning open. And let's make sure we are all ready to go with our notes. So I would suggest, if you haven't already, do a split screen. So have your teams available to you so you can chat and you can watch along, and have your It's Learning open so that way you can follow along with my instructions, and you have your notes with you at the same time. All right, so I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to make sure everybody's good to go. If you are not ready to go, do me a favor and give me a thumbs down so that I know we need to wait a little bit longer. If I don't hear or see from you, I'm going to move on and think we're all good to go. Yeah. So as we're going through, if you have questions, please put it in the chat. Raise your hand. I'm happy to answer questions as we go through. Just promise me that you'll give me a second, we'll practice, and you'll feel great, okay? So we've got dad's traits as heterozygous, and mom is homozygous recessive, so she has 2 recessive alleles. So we're going to place those on the Punnett square. All right, so all of your information of the mom's genotypes and phenotypes. So we don't have their phenotypes on the Punnett square. However, we've already discussed what their phenotypes were. So we've got dad and his phenotype. He's a black lab. Mom is a chocolate lab. She is homozygous recessive. All right. So now when you complete a Punnett square, it's so cool. All right. What I need you to do, follow along with your PowerPoint. So as you're moving along, you should be able to see. Now mine, I'm showing you step by step. Your PowerPoint should have everything all together. And I left it that way so you could refer back to it anytime you needed to. All right, so go with me. So the first thing you need to do is you need to pull the allele from the top and then move the one over. So it's kind of like your math problem. So when you like those math tables, I know math, but you know. So when you pull down the numbers and then you can like figure out which ones you're adding or subtracting or multiplying, you know. Some of you refer to, oh, it's like the lattice method. Yes. All right. So you're pulling down and moving over at the same time. Really cool. Pulling down, moving over. Now we do it again, but this time we do it for the next one. So it's just pretty much finding out where they intersect. All right, pull down, pull over, keep going. We're going to pull this down and pull it over. Pull down and pull it over. Okay, so now all of the genotypes, all of the alleles have been placed in the box. This is the important part. So we've got all of mom and dad's possible offspring right here. How we doing? Everybody doing okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're doing awesome. Give me a emoji if you're not so awesome or not so great. Oh, we got a question. Christy, what can I do for you, honey? Christy, your hand's raised. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, my sister has brown hair and I have blonde hair. Is this kind of how it works with humans too?
That's a great question. So remember what I was saying when we talked about the genotypes that they're getting from each, right? These were all possible genotypes. So say your sister was homozygous recessive, but maybe you are heterozygous or homozygous dominant. So you still have those alleles from your parents, right? But not all of these offspring have the exact genetic genotypes. Very good question. Does that answer your question, sweetheart? No problem. Great job in the chat, guys. Okay. Now we're going to go to peppers because peppers are awesome. I would like to see if you can go ahead and do your Punnett square before I do mine. So give me a thumbs up when your Punnett square is complete in your notes. I think you guys can do this in record time, I'm sure. Ooh, that is a fantastic question, Christy. So the question was, does the recessive always have to go? Why can't I have the recessive in front? So I look at it like this. Dominant always has to go first because they're, right? They like to be shown. So when they're present, they have to be seen. So the dominant always has to go in front. All right, good question. The dominant is always in front of the recessive allele if it's present. What I want to do, take it back to the labs. I want to see if you guys can put in the parents' traits and type in your offspring's traits real quick. Once I can see that you've got this down, we're going to move into some group work activities and get moving from there. So I'm super excited. All right. Give me a thumbs up when you think your Punnett square is done. Christy asked the question, is it okay to scribble on a scratch sheet of paper if it is easier for her? I am totally fine by that. The most important thing is you are getting the practice with the Punnett squares. Absolutely. I'm seeing some hands up. All right, guys, check your answers with mine and let's see how we're doing. How many of you got that correct? All right, so what I want to do is I want to see where you guys are at. Give me, if you would, an emoji of how you are feeling right now with Punnett squares. Are we ready to move on and work with your classmates? Give me an emoji. Tell me how you're feeling. Oh, I love it. Party. Love it, love it. Cool guy with the glasses. Fantastic. All right, so I'm saying, let's move on. We are going to break out into your breakout rooms. Okay, so your next activity on your playlist is going to provide you with an assignment, and it's going to provide you with a name of your group. So it would be group 1, group 2, or group 3. Your name is underneath. What I need you to do is find your name, and you're going to click on that link. That link is in the group number. Your link is going to take you to a Teams meeting. That Teams meeting will allow you to collaborate with the other group members. What you are going to do is you are going to work together to answer the assignment in its learning. I am going to be able to pop into each group and check in and see how you guys are doing so we can have conversations in a smaller setting. If you have to ask me any questions, we'll be able to do that. So what I'd like for you to do is when you go to that spot in your playlist, we are going to head over to that Teams link. So you will have to leave this Teams chat to go into the next Teams, but you're going to have to return here as a group. So what I'd like to do is I would like to set us at 9:40 to come back into this Teams group so that way we can all wrap everything up together. How you doing?
We're just getting started.
Okay, awesome. How are we feeling?
I feel pretty good. So
Yeah.
let's look at the first one, Kate. It says, what are the eye color possibilities if they have chose to have children? So let's go ahead and fill in our block first.
All right, so the first one would be capital B, right? Because they're both dominant.
There we go. Remember to use our dominant alleles. Remember to use our vocabulary. Awesome.
Does it matter if I go to the right or do I have to go down?
Nope. The awesome part about Punnett squares is you can go any which way you want as long as you stay specifically in the correct boxes. So you can go to the left, you can go down, however you want to do it.
Kate, you think this one would be big B, little b, right?
Yes. So it's dominant and recessive.
There you go. Good use of vocabulary, guys.
And the next one would also be dominant and recessive. So capital B, lowercase b.
Okay.
Awesome. Very good, guys. All right. So now tell me, is it possible for these two parents to have a blue-eyed child? Just looking at that Punnett square.
No.
Why not?
Because the recessive gene of blue eyes is not really present. Brown is dominant in all 4 cases.
That's correct. All right, so all 4 of them have that dominant allele, and unfortunately, that homozygous recessive is a toughie, and there are no homozygous recessive alleles in that Punnett square. So that means all of us are
that
brown.
4 out of 4 would be brown and 100% brown, and that would go under phenotype, right?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
Right, because then the 2 genotypes are only homozygous dominant, yes.
Yep.
And heterozygous dominant. So BB, capital BB, or capital B, lowercase b.
Yep.
Are
so
2 genotypes.
Yep, homozygous dominant and heterozygous. You guys are awesome. All right, I'm gonna come back and check on you guys later, but I think we're good to go. All right.
And we just keep working through this?
Yep, keep working until the time that we are supposed to get back into the original group.
Okay.
Great job, guys. All right, bye.
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 Hey guys, I see we're coming back. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing really well? I loved all the conversations that we had in those groups that we were able to have a conversation with. You guys did awesome. Such good use of what we learned today. I know that we are getting close to the end of our time today. Give a couple more minutes and make sure everybody gets back okay. Before we go our separate ways, I want to close out with a little game because you know I'm a fan of games. We're going to play a game together on quizzes and see if we can test all of the information that we learned today. So do me a favor and tell me, if you would, in the chat, one thing that you are super excited to have learned today. And if you're feeling really brave, raise your hands and I'll call on you so you can share out. That would be awesome. Tell me one thing in the chat that you feel really good or you learned today that you were super excited for. Oh, awesome. Phenotype and genotype. Okay, so one thing that I am seeing from your comments is the genotypes and the phenotypes and getting them mixed up. That's totally okay. Do you know what I do? So genotype has gene. So I always look for the gene, the allele, okay? Phenotype, physical, I always look for the physical trait. I know it's going to take a little bit of practice, and trust me, remember when I said that it's a lot, but you guys are doing amazing. The more you practice, the better you're going to get with your vocabulary and with the Punnett squares. Trust me, by the time you'll be going home telling your parents what amazing vocabulary, homozygous dominant, heterozygous, awesome, awesome, awesome. Jennifer, go ahead.
Well, I always wondered why I have 2 sisters and they both have green eyes and I have brown eyes. And I never was quite sure why, you know, that I was the only one that was different. And now I understand why.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's end the class with a game. See how you guys are doing. All right. I'm going to share my screen, which is going to give you a code. And this code goes with the link that's in It's Learning. So click on the It's Learning link for your exit ticket and go ahead and type in your code. And as you type in that code, oh, we go, Katie's in. We are going to start the game as soon as I see everyone is in. Fantastic, fantastic. Awesome, guys. All right, let's have some fun. Oh, Christy is taking the lead. Christy is on fire. Deb is coming up quickly behind. Sarah's on a roll. Oh, Christy and Deb are tied. Oh, Katie is coming up. Watch out. Awesome. Christy is moving. I can tell Christy has been studying her vocabulary. All right, and our winners. Fantastic job, guys. You did awesome. Fantastic. So I hope everyone's feeling really good about Punnett squares, your genotypes, your phenotypes, and make sure you complete the lessons that have been provided for you on It's Learning for your asynchronous part of our activities. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to reach out, email me. And you guys did awesome today. Hope you're feeling really good. If you need to, send me an emoji on the side in the chat and let me know how you're doing. And see you guys next time.